So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over the AQA GCSE Maths Foundation Paper 3 of June 2017. Now we'll include a link to the papers for you to have a go at if you've not got access to it, which I recommend that you do, and I'll also include the grade boundaries of this paper with the individual grades for it. So let's get started on this AQA June 2017 Foundation GCSE Paper 3, which is a calculator paper. So looking at question 1, it says circle the lowest of these temperatures, and obviously the lowest number for these is going to be -7 degrees. The next question, it then says circle the expression that is 4 times bigger than n, and that's going to be 4n. And then for question 3, it says circle the fraction that is greater than 3/10. Now if you're not too sure about this, all you need to do is on your calculator is do the division, and what you're looking for is which of these answers is going to be greater than 0.3. And which of these answers is going to be? Well, it's going to be a third. Then looking at question 4, it says circle the value of 2 to the power 5. So that's 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16, times 2, which is 32. Then question 5a says to simplify the expression. So what we want to do is we want to simplify this, which is a cubed, and then simplify this, which is plus 2b. Then for question 5b, we just want to expand the brackets first. So we've got 5x plus 15, and we've got minus x plus 2. Now if we join the x's together, I end up with 4x. And if I join the numbers together, I've got 15 plus 2, which is 17. So looking at question 6, it says that 12 cards are numbered 1 to 12 are put into 6 pairs. Each pair has a total. Complete the table to show the pairs. So what we need to do is using the numbers of 1 to 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So we need to put these so that they add up to the totals you can see in the totals column. Now 1 and 2 have already been used, so what I then need to use is the other numbers. So for 9 I can use 3 and 6, so that's 3 and 6 gone. To make 11 using the existing numbers, I could have 4 and 7. Then I can have, for 14 I can have 5 and 9. Then for 19 I can have 8 and 11. And then finally for 22 I can have 10 and 12. So any combinations where you're not duplicating the numbers will be absolutely fine for this question. Then looking at question 7, it says here is a number machine, and when we've got x, then we've got times 3 minus 2 equals y. Work out the output when the input is 4. So what we want to do here is 4 times 3, which is 12, take away 2, which is 10. And looking at question 7b, it says work out the output when the input is minus 4. So all I need to do here is do exactly the same. So minus 4 times 3 is minus 12. And then take away 2 is going to give me an answer of minus 14. And put a decimal point there, so let's just put a little line there. And then moving on to question 8, it says that here is information about goals scored in some hockey games. Each game has 4 quarters. So the sort of darker shading is the home goals, and the lighter shading is the away goals. So which quarter was the mode for the away goals? So for this, we're looking for which is the most popular for the lighter shade, and that's going to be the second, because obviously this one here is the second. It is the highest for the lightly shaded. Now for question B, it says there were 10 games, work out the mean number of goals per game. So what we need to do here is first of all work out the total of each of the bars. So I've got 4 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 8 plus 7 plus 9 plus 5. And if I add all those numbers up, I get a total of, so the total goals comes up to a total of 47. So the total games equals 10. So all I need to do is divide both those numbers, and I've written plus there, so let's just get rid of that. So divide both those numbers, and we'll get an answer of 4.7. Then moving on to question 8c says, in total, how many more home goals were scored than away goals? Well, if we go back to this here, and if I just add up the number of home goals, so 4 plus 4 is 8, 16, and then I end up with 25. So home goals was 25. Let's start by writing that. So the home goals equals 25. And then if I then work out the away goals, and just add them all up. So here I've got 2 plus 8, which is 10, 17, and then 22. And so if I then do 25, take away 22, gives me a difference of 3. Now it then says that Rob says more home teams must have won because they were more home goals. Is this correct? And you could, and again, not given is this correct? Well, no, because most of the goals could have been scored in one game. So, for example, again, you could have had like a 10-0 game, and where the others were like all defeats with small lowing goals. So again, typical answers would be that if scores were given, then assume we could find that out. So again, actual scores weren't given, so we can't prove that. You could also say that the home team scored 0 to 9 matches and 25 in the first game. So again, very similar to what we've got. So something along those lines, but I would say this is probably the most popular answer. So moving on to question 9a, it says list all the factors of 30. Now factors are numbers that you can divide by 30. So again, a good way of working this out is to think of multiplications with whole numbers that multiply to give you 30. So here we've got 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and I've got 5 times 6. And then your factors are just going to be each of these 8 numbers. And now, although it's only worth 2 marks, you do need to give all 8 values, and sometimes it makes it easier if you do write them in numerical order, but again, not sort of guaranteed in terms of insisted. The next question then says a factor of 30 is chosen at random. What is the probability that would be a 2-digit number? Well, in terms of this, out of 8 numbers, 3 of them are double digits, so the answer then is going to be 3/8. So moving on to our next question, so question 19, it says each shape has an area of 24 centimeters squared, complete the missing lengths. Well, if we work out the area of a rectangle, well, it's going to be 6 times x equals 24. So how many 6's going to 24? That's going to be 4. Now with question 30, with the triangle, that's going to be the base times 16 divided by 2 equals 24. Well, if I take the 2 over, I end up with b times 16 equals 48. Then I take away 16, or that should be a times rather, divide by 16, and that is going to give me an answer of 3. Then moving on to question 11, it says that a television channel shows 12 minutes of adverts in each half an hour. How many minutes of adverts are shown between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. So the first thing we want to work out is what's the total number of hours between those two times. So here we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So that's going to be 18 hours. Now in those 18 hours, what I need to do, there's going to be 12 minutes per every half hour. So then that's going to be time. So if I have 18 hours, I'm going to have 36 half hours. So then to work out how many adverts, so it's going to be 36 times 12, which if I work out on my calculator, 36 times 12 gives me an answer of 432 minutes. So looking at question 12, it says put these probabilities in order. Now when you've got a combination of percentages and decimals, what you want to try and do is write them so that they're all the same sort of thing. So 44% is 0.44 as a decimal, a quarter is 0.25, I've got 0.404, and I've got 0.4. Now once you've got it into decimal form, you want to make sure they've all got the same number of decimals after the decimal point, and then we just need to order them. So here we're looking for the one that's least likely. So what this is basically saying is put them in ascending order. So which is the smallest? Well, that's going to be a quarter. And once I've done it, I can tick it. And the next smallest out of the others is 4/10. Then it's 0.404. And then finally, it's going to be 44%. So then moving on to question 13, it says that a circle is drawn on a centimetre grid, and the question says draw a tangent to the circle. Now for this, all you need to do is draw a straight line that only touches the circle at one point. Now it's going to be very difficult for me to do, but basically what you want to do is draw a circle where it only touches once. So draw a line that touches the circle at one point only. So in terms of question 13b, it says that Grace works out the area of the circle is more than 9 centimeters squared. Why must this be wrong? Well, for starters, you can see that if I count how many are actually inside, that it's going to be less than 9 because we haven't got 9 whole squares. And so the reason for this is not 9 whole squares do not fit inside the circle. Now, if you've been taught well in terms of knowing what the area of a circle is going to be, you can also say that the radius of the circle is around about less than 1.5, 1.5 centimeters. So the actual area is going to be less than 1.5 squared times pi. And if I was to work that out on the calculator, 1.5 squared times pi, it gives me an answer of 7.06. So the actual area is going to be less than 7.07 centimeters squared. So any of those definitions will be absolutely fine to get the marks. Now for question 14a, it says the front elevation, side elevation of a plane solid are all the same as shown. Write down the name of the solid. Well, if all the views are going to be the same, then this is going to represent a cube. Now the next part, 14b, says the front elevation, side elevation and the plan view of a solid are the same as shown. So it's a circle. What's the shape going to be? Well, that's just simply going to be a sphere. Looking at question 15, it says show that there are exactly 5 3-digit cube numbers. Now for this, all you need to do is actually work out what the cube numbers are. So if I start with, let's say 4, so 4 cubed is going to give me 64. 5 cubed is going to give me 125. 6 cubed, and again, with you having a calculator, this should be relatively straightforward. We've got 216. 7 cubed is going to give me an answer of 343. 8 cubed is going to give me an answer of 512. 9 cubed is going to give me an answer of 729. And 10 cubed is going to give me an answer of 1000. So as you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here what we've shown is we've got only 5 3-digit cube numbers. So looking at question 16, it says triangles ABC and DEF are similar. Work out the values of x. Now for this, what we need to do is find out what x is here. So we know that here what we need to do is find the scale factor. So looking at this, we can see that to get from this to this, we need to divide by 2. So the scale factor is going to be by 2. So to find out what x is going to equal 9 divided by 2, which gives me an answer of 4.5. And we just need to state the units, which is centimeters. Now for question 16b, it says work out the size of angle y. Well, in similar shapes, all the interior angles are going to be the same. So if this angle here is 53, then y is going to be the same. So it's going to be 53 degrees. Now looking at question 17, it says C and D and P and Q are lines of length of 12 centimeters. Now it says that C to E is in the ratio of C to D in the ratio of 1 to 2. So what we need to do is work this out. Now C to D is the whole length, so that's going to be 12. And if that's in the ratio of 2 parts, then one part is going to be 6, so then E is going to be in the middle. It's going to be there. Then for question 17b, it says P, R, and RQ are in the ratio of 1 to 3. So then what we need to do is split the 12 parts into 4, which equals 3. So each part is going to represent 3 lines. If I just do that there. And we want the ratio that R is in the ratio of 1 to 3, so R is going to be. Moving on to question 18, it says that a shop sells 2 brands of batteries and says that brand A batteries power a toy for 5 hours and brand B powers the same toy for 5.5 hours, which is better value. So in terms of this, what we want to do is we want to work out what the total number of hours are going to be. Now for this, in terms of the total hours of each pack, is going to be, if I just move the screen down so just got a bit more space. So here we've got A is going to be 8 times 5, which is 40 hours. And then for B, we get 6 times 5.5, which if I type that into my calculator, I get an answer of 6 times 5.5 equals 33. Now what I'm going to do then is then divide each of these by the price. And what I'm then going to do is work out how many hours I'm getting per pound. So then this is going to be divided by £3.60 and this is going to be divided by £2.94. And the better value is going to be whichever one gives me the higher answer. So then get the calculator out. I've got 40 divided by 3.6, which gives me an answer of 11.1 recurring. So 11.1 recurring, so that's going to be hours per pound. And then if I then do the same for the second calculation, so 33 divided by 2.94 equals, and that gives me an answer of 11.22 hours per pound. So which one is going to be better value? Well, it's going to be brand B. Now for question 19, it says the value of x can be 2 or 5, the value of y can be 3 or 12. List the possible values of x and y. So for this, what we need to try and do is do a table of values. So if x can be 2 and 5, and y can be 3 and 12, and we're looking at multiplying the 3 numbers, or the 4 numbers I should say, together, and we are multiplying, so that's going to be 6, 15, 24, and 60. So in terms of list the possible values of this, it's going to be 6, 15, 24, and 60. Now looking at question 19b, it says work out the least possible value of x minus y divided by x. Now as we've got fraction, to get the smallest fraction, what I want the smallest denominator, a numerator I should say, and I want the biggest denominator. Now to get the smallest denominator, what I need x to be as small as possible, so x to equal small, and I need y to be big. And then for this value here, I need x to be, well x needs to be the same. So here what we just need to do is mess around with the numbers. So if x equals 2, and y equals 12, let's say. Let's have a look at mess around with these numbers. So what we've then got is we've got 2 minus 12 over 2. So that's going to give me an answer of minus 5. If x equals 5 and y equals 12, then what I'm going to end up with is 5 minus 12 divided by 5. And again, if I do that on my calculator, 5 minus 12 equals minus 7 divided by 5 gives me an answer of minus 1.4. Then if I then look at the other value, so this time I'm going to change the values of x. So if x equals, and the two possible values are 2 and 5, so if x equals 2 and y equals 3 rather, then what I'm going to end up with is 2 minus 3 divided by 3. So again on the calculator, 2 minus 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So that's going to be minus 1. And then if I then do the next calculation, so this time I'm going to make x equal 2 and y equal 12, which I've already done. So the one that I've not done is when x equals 5 and y equals 3. So here I've got 5 minus 3 over 5, so that's going to be 2/5, which is 0.4, which then means which one gives me the least value, or what's the least value here we get? It's going to be minus 5. So looking at question 20, it says that an exam has 2 papers. Anil scores 33 out of 60 in paper 1 and 75 out of 100 in paper 2. Work out its percentage score in the exam. So what we want to work out is we need to add up these two scores here. So 33 plus 75, which is going to give me a total score of 108. And then we need the total amount, which is going to be 60 plus 100, which is 160. And then what I need to then do is convert this into a percentage. So on my calculator, what I'm going to do is 108 divided by 160, and then multiply that by 100, and that gives me an answer of 67.5%. So looking at question 21, it says that purple paint is made by mixing red paint and blue paint in a ratio of 5:2. Jan has 30 litres of red paint and 9 litres of blue paint. What is the maximum amount of purple paint he can make? Now, because obviously our blue is our smaller of the ratios, which represents 2, then if I just start by writing my ratio, so I've got red to blue, and that's in ratio of 5:2. Now let's have a look. If we maximise the blue paint, which is 9 litres, and what I want to do is work out how much red paint do I need to make to make purple paint if I have 9 litres of blue paint. So then I think to myself, okay, well, what do I need to multiply 2 to get 9? Well, that's going to be multiplied by 4.5. So if I then multiply 5 by 4.5, and 4.5 times 5 gives me 22.5. Now, is that enough for the red litres? Yes, it is. So that's going to be 22 and 9. So then if I just simply add 22.5 plus 9, I get an answer of 31.5 litres. Moving on to question 22, it says that this shape is made from 2 triangles and 4 congruent parallelograms. And for each of the statements, tick the correct box. So for this, looking at this, what do I want to tick? Well, we know that the triangles are equilateral, and that could be true, is the one that we want to tick there. The next one is that the triangles are congruent, and this must be true for it to be the same. So moving on to question 23a, it says that the length of a pipe is 6 meters to nearest meter, and the question is asking us to complete the error interval. Now 1 meter with the error interval nearest meter, we want to divide that by 2, which equals 0.5. So the error interval is going to be 6 plus and minus 0.5. So if I do 6 minus 0.5, that's going to be 5.5. And if I do 6 plus 0.5, that's going to be 6.5. So looking at question 23b, it says the length of a different pipe is 4 meters to the nearest meter. Ollie says that the total length of the 2 pipes is 11 meters to the nearest meter. Give an example to show that this could be correct. So what I want to do is, for the first pipe, I want to pick a value that is between these two numbers. So if we go for, in terms of the first pipe, let's say we use 6.49. And then for the second pipe, and if that's been rounded to 4 meters, so that's going to be 3.5 to 4.5. So if I then go for the second pipe as being 4.49, and if I add those two numbers up on my calculator, so 6.49 plus 4.49, it gives me an answer of 10.98, which when rounded to the nearest meter equals 11 meters. So looking at question 24, it says that A, B, C, D and E, F are straight lines, and we've got our sort of diagram here, and it says Ava assumes that A, B and C, D are parallel. What is the answer she should get for angle Y? So for this, what we need to do is we need to first find X. Now if these two lines here are indeed parallel, then these two angles here must be equal. So 2x plus 10 must equal 3x minus 20. Now if we solve this double-sided equation by taking the 2x to the other side, we end up with 10 equals x minus 20, so x equals 30 degrees. Now if x equals 30, then this angle here is going to equal 3 times 30, take away 20, which equals 70 degrees. And then to work out y, well, y equals 180 minus that angle here, because it's on a straight line, and that's going to equal 110 degrees. So looking at question 24b, it says, in fact, A, B and C, D are not parallel and angle W is 60 degrees. What effect does this have on the size of angle Y? We've got 3 options and we need to show our working to support our answer for 3 marks. So if we go back to the diagram, and also I can delete the sort of highlighting of A, B, C and D because these are no longer parallel. Now what I still know is that this angle W is going to be the same as this angle here because they are opposite. So here what I've got is I've got that W equals 2x plus 10, and the reason for that is because they are opposite angles. Now from this, if W is 60, then what I end up with is that x is going to equal 25 degrees. So if x is 25 degrees, and going back to this here, then I can then work out what this angle here is going to be. So therefore 3x, and then just go back to what it was, minus 20 is going to equal, and that's 75 take away 20 is 55 degrees. So then if this angle here is 55 degrees, then y is going to be 180 minus 55. So if I then work that out, so y equals 180 minus 55, and again if I just quickly type that into my calculator, 180 minus 55 gives me an answer of 125 degrees. So we can see that this answer is bigger than our original answer in A, so I can say that y is going to be bigger. Then moving on to question 25, it says that there are 720 boys and 700 girls in a school. The probability that a boy is chosen at random studies French is 2/3. The probability that a girl chosen at random studies French is 3/5. Work out the number of students in the school who study French. So what I need to do is we need to work out what, in terms of the boys, we want to work out 2/3 of 720. And how do we do that? Well, on the calculators, we can either use the fraction button. So here I've got 2/3 times 720 equals, that gives me 480. And then from the girls, I've got 3/5. I want to work out 3/5 of 700. So again, on the calculator, I do 3/5, and of means times, and then 700, and that gives me a total of 420. And we add those two numbers up, give me a total of 900 students. Then for question B, it then says work out the probability that a student chosen at random at the whole school does not study French. Well, in terms of the total number of students at the school is going to equal 720 plus 700 which is 1420. And then we've got, out of that, we need to do, so in terms of that do not study French, is going to be 14 out of the 1420 minus 900, which is 520. So then the probability then is going to be 520 over 1420, and this simplifies to give me 26 over 71. So it says circle the expression that is equivalent to x squared minus 4x minus 12. So again, what I need to do is find two numbers that added together give me minus 4, multiplied to give me minus 12, and the correct answer we're going to have here is going to be our fourth option, which is just there. Now for question 27, it says, how are the whole number solutions for A and B different? Well, for this, what we need to do is, now you always want to try and get x by itself in the middle. So here we've got 3x. So what I need to do is divide both the numbers by 3. So here we've got 1, and we've got x, and we're going to have 6. And then for the B, we're going to have 1, and we've got x, and we've got 6. So how are they different? Well, for A, so in A, x can be 1 but not 6, and in B, x can be 6 but not 1. Again, pretty simple in terms of that. And that concludes this paper. Now we'll put the grade boundaries of this individual paper in the description below, so you can see once you've marked and totaled up your scores what grade you've attained on this paper.